I skipped a lot of school in high school. I didn't skip in middle school. I didn't pull that stunt that guy did when I was in middle school of burning the building down. I just, because I didn't care, and you got 5 unexcused absences a semester. Once I think I was 15, I skipped every homecoming. School was closed half a day. I'd skip then. If there were a 3-day weekend, we were out on a Friday, I'd skip that Thursday. I never skipped a Monday. Because one time me and my buddies were going to do a skip day, and we were going to skip on a Friday. And the guy's like, dude, why don't we skip on a Monday so we can sleep in? And we never did because, I don't know, for some reason I was at school on Monday. Now, I always turned my work in. I was a passingly decent student. Although one teacher was wise to what I was doing. And I skipped one day and I had a test because I really didn't give a shit. And she was like, well, I'm going to need an excuse for you to make up this task because I know you just skipped school and went and played golf. I was like, damn. She would know. She would know. So I had to get my grandmother to write me an excuse, and she didn't ask questions and didn't really care. So I got to retake the test, and I barely passed that class. And you're probably wondering, well, what's your family think is? Well, my dad was basically of the opinion, all right, if you get caught, it's your ass. But other than that, do whatever, because one time I skipped school and me and him went off and played a golf course he didn't want to play. And then, because my dad, when he grew up, he didn't miss school, period. Like, his parents were, if your school is open, you were there. Like, there were no cut days. He had a senior skip day, and school was open, he was there, period. They weren't having none of this going out and enjoying yourself and having kicks and good times. Nah. And the same went for church. I don't think he ever missed church until he was 18. Because, as him and my uncle put it, unless they lost an arm, they were at church. And even if they had lost an arm, my grandpa would have reattached it for long enough to them to make the service. So that's how serious they took it. So he was a little bit, I don't know if he was jealous because he's really not the type, but he wasn't too keen. And then one time my senior year, I finally got caught because I got a little too cute with it. I skipped my last class of the day, which was, oddly enough, a Scholastic Bowl class. So it was a joke of a class. But, of course, I went and played golf, and I was talking to a guy, actually, of all people, John, the 5th grade badass. And I told him I skipped that day, and he said, yeah, and she wrote your ass up. He said, I saw your name on the write-up. I was like, oh, shit. And sure enough, I get to class, and she said, the vice principal wants to see you. And I go in to see her, and I didn't know her because she came from a different school, because my senior year, we consolidated 3 schools together. And I go in, and she says, so you skipped your 4th block? I said, yes, ma'am. See, she was confused for a second because I don't think she was expecting me to be like so glib about it or just okay with it. She said, you know you're not supposed to do this? Yes, ma'am. I know. She's still a little confused because I think she's used to getting blowback or argument or, hey, we can't do this. And she keeps talking to me and she said, well, what if I tell your parents about this? My dad knew. I told him. Because now she looked a little worried. She's like, well, one of my weapons is gone. Because his dad seems largely okay. Well, what did he say, like, if you got caught? He said, and it was I didn't have the nerve to say my ass. I said then it was on me. Plain and simple. She said, well, you're not going to do it again, are you? I said, I'm not going to say I'm not. I'll just be smarter about it. And she just kind of stared at me. She said, well, what if I tell your dad he should take your car away? I said, well, that'd be bad. But if you want to do that, go ahead. So she finally calls another assistant principal. And this one I knew. And he comes in. He's like, oh, and what have you been doing? I said, well, we went and played golf. It was a nice day, and we were doing something in there I didn't want to do. He's like, you got to go to class. How'd you play? She didn't know what's going on. He's like, are you just okay with him skipping school and doing as he pleases? And I ended up getting paddled, and that never bothered me. 2 licks and it's over. So what? She's like, well, should I call his dad? He said, nah, he's a good kid. Just let him be. And then another time, because another thing we did a lot was we would skip lunch and go to McDonald's, but we only had so much time. Like, you had 30 minutes for lunch, so you had to work fast. Like, you had to have a drive-through lunch and then get back. So we'd be in the car driving about 100 miles an hour down some back roads to get McDonald's. And one day, a couple of freshman girls wanted to skip with us and go do something. I think it really took some nerve, but the trouble was, I was always smart about it. I knew what door to go out of. I knew how not to attract attention. And if I ever got asked what I was doing, I always had a plan. My plan was to say, like, hey, I left my book in the car. I have my teacher's permission. Blah, blah, blah. But no one ever caught me because no one ever paid that much attention. You'd be amazed at what people don't notice. Like, even at my old school, it was smaller. You could skip lunch and no one would notice because, I don't know, I guess they're just not paying attention. They're just eating your lunch. It's just, they're not expecting to not see you there, so that's not what they're looking for, if that makes sense. Now, if they know you skip, they're going to be looking for it. But there are a lot of days, like, we'd have a stupid program at the end of the day. I'd leave. I'd just walk right out the door. Another time, we were supposed to have the last class. This was actually the class I got caught skipping in. We were supposed to get teacher permission and go practice for choir. I asked, and then I just walked out the door. Because I was like, whatever. So I took advantage of opportunities. But anyway, the freshmen went with us, and it kind of went off without a hitch until they wanted to be dropped off at the front door. I said, this is a bad idea. We don't need to drop you off at the front door. Let's go to the back parking lot and we'll go in through there. No, this is quicker, shorter walk. I said, this is a bad idea. Tried to talk them out of it, and they got caught. They didn't throw me under the bus, which was good, but they were really mad about getting in trouble for that. But I begged them. But people just think they know better than someone that was really good at skipping like I was. And you'd think that, like, carefree attitude would rub off in college. But no, in college, I didn't miss class. I didn't miss a day of class because college actually meant something. And also by college, I'd given up on my golf career. So that helped matters. And college, you get done, you got plenty of time to do whatever you want. So that also helped. Another time, this is probably one of my friend's favorite. Although I skipped a lot of school, I was never late for school. Other than one time, I think I overslept and didn't set my alarm, and I was 10 minutes late. Well, they wanted to get a parent to sign me in. I said, well, look, my dad's at work. He works day shift, and he's not going to leave work. I was like, can I get my sister to sign me in? Because at first I tried to talk them into just letting me go in. No, we can't have that. You were late. And as far as they were concerned, even though this was my first time ever being late for school, that didn't matter. If you were late once, you were chronically late. So that made me a little mad. And then I had to call my sister to get her to sign me in. And instead of coming as quick as she could, no, she crawled all the way there. So it was like my second block class before I got to school. And I was so mad, and I was talking to my buddy about it. It's like, yeah, they made me wait. And the sub, who I didn't know, she's like, where's the bitch here, son? We all have problems. I don't want to hear about yours. And I got so mad. And my buddy, he told me later, he's like, I thought you were going to punch a female substitute teacher. I really did. You looked that angry because they tried to talk me down. I just stood up and I said, I'm leaving. She said, well, make sure you get somebody to check you out. And I said, I'm leaving, and just walked out the classroom door, walked out the side door, walked to my car, and of course went and played golf.